You already know what you need to do. That is the part nobody talks about. You are not sitting there confused about what the next step is. You know exactly what it is. You have known for weeks, maybe months, and yet here you are, doing everything except that thing, reorganizing your desk, making another cup of coffee, telling yourself you will start after this video, after dinner, after the weekend, after things calm down a little. And the worst part is not the lost time. The worst part is what happens in the quiet moments, when you are lying in bed and the day is over, and you are running the mental math of everything you did not do. That feeling is not laziness. It is not weakness, and it is absolutely not a character flaw. Here is what nobody ever told you. Procrastination has nothing to do with time management, nothing to do with discipline, nothing to do with how badly you want something. It has everything to do with something running silently underneath all of that, something most people never look at directly. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. If this is the kind of thing nobody ever told you but you always needed to hear, you are exactly where you belong. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss what comes next. Chapter 1. The Lie You Were Told About Procrastination. Every piece of advice you have ever received about procrastination starts from a wrong assumption. The assumption is that procrastination is a time problem, that you are bad at managing your hours, that if you just got a better calendar app, a stricter schedule, a more detailed to-do list, everything would click into place. So you try those things, and they work for maybe 3 days, and then you are right back where you started. Except now, you also feel guilty about abandoning the system. Here is the real thing. Procrastination is not a time management failure. It is an emotional regulation failure. Dr. Fuschia Sirois at the University of Sheffield spent years studying procrastination and found that chronic procrastination is fundamentally about avoiding negative emotions, not avoiding tasks. When you put something off, you are not avoiding the work. You are avoiding how that work makes you feel. The anxiety of possibly failing, the discomfort of not knowing where to start, the fear that if you actually try and it still does not work, you will have lost your last excuse. Think about this for a moment. The task itself is rarely the problem. You can sit down and do hard things all day long when they feel safe. You work hard on things you are good at. You spend hours on things you enjoy. The resistance only shows up around the things that carry emotional weight. The project that really matters, the conversation you really need to have, the dream you have been quietly protecting by never actually testing it. That is not laziness. That is self-protection. And your brain is extraordinarily good at it. Chapter 2. What your brain is actually doing here is where it gets interesting. Your brain has one non-negotiable priority, not your happiness, not your success, not your goals, safety. Your brain will sacrifice almost everything else to keep you feeling safe in this moment. And here is the cruel irony of that design. The things that matter most to you are also the things that feel the most threatening to your brain. Neuroscientists have found that the anticipation of a difficult or emotionally loaded task activates the amygdala, the part of your brain responsible for processing threat. Your brain does not distinguish between the threat of a lion in the grass and the threat of opening your laptop and working on something that might reveal your limitations. To your nervous system, both feel like danger, and the response to danger is always the same: avoid, retreat, find something safer to do. So you check your phone, you clean the kitchen, you do the smaller, easier tasks on the list, because completing them releases a small hit of dopamine and temporarily silences the alarm going off in your chest. You are not being weak. You are being human. Your brain is doing exactly what brains do. But here is the part that changed everything for me when I first understood it. The avoidance does not make the feeling go away. It makes it worse. Every time you delay the task, you send your brain one clear message: this thing is dangerous. And your brain files that message away and makes the resistance slightly stronger the next time. The longer you wait, the bigger the task becomes in your mind. Not in reality, just in your mind. Until what started as a 30-minute email has become this enormous looming thing that you can barely look at directly. Has this ever happened to you? A task so small that grew so enormous in your head that starting it felt genuinely impossible? Tell me in the comments, because I promise you are not the only one. Chapter 3. The Identity Underneath the Procrastination. Now we go deeper, because the emotional avoidance is only half the story. The other half is identity, and this is the part almost nobody talks about. The philosopher William James said that the deepest principle in human nature is the craving to be appreciated. But underneath that craving is something even more fundamental: the need to maintain a consistent picture of who you are. Your identity is not just how you see yourself. It is also your single most powerful predictor of behavior. You will almost always act in ways that are consistent with the story you are telling about yourself. And here is where procrastination gets truly interesting. For many people, the act of not starting is actually protecting an identity they are deeply attached to. The identity of the person who could have done it if they had really tried. As long as you never fully commit, you never fully fail. As long as the manuscript is unfinished, the business unstarted, the conversation unmade, you remain the person with potential, rather than the person who tried and fell short. This is the hidden reason. Not laziness, not lack of discipline. A quiet, unconscious agreement with yourself that not trying is safer than discovering that trying was not enough. The Stoic philosopher Seneca wrote about this 2,000 years ago with a clarity that still hits like cold water. He said most people spend their lives getting ready to live, not living. Getting ready to live, preparing, planning, waiting for the right moment that never quite arrives. If this is landing somewhere real for you right now, you are exactly where you need to be. Stay subscribed. This channel exists for moments exactly like this one. Chapter 4. The only way through. So what do you actually do with this? Because understanding procrastination is one thing, moving through it is another. And here is the honest truth. There is no trick that removes the discomfort. There is no hack that makes the hard thing feel easy. Anyone who tells you otherwise is selling something. What you can do is change your relationship to the discomfort. And that starts with one small shift. Stop trying to feel ready before you start. Readiness is a feeling your brain generates after you begin, not before. You have experienced this 100 times. You dread starting something. You force yourself to open the document, make the call, take the first step, and within 5 minutes the resistance is gone and you are actually moving. That is not a coincidence. That is neuroscience. Action generates motivation. Motivation does not generate action. You have been waiting for motivation to show up so you can start. You need to start so that motivation can show up. The psychologist Dr. Timothy Pychyl at Carleton University spent decades studying procrastination and found one consistent truth across all his research. The single most effective intervention is the simplest one. Just begin. Not finish. Not plan. Not get inspired. Just begin. Even poorly. Even incompletely. Even for 2 minutes. Because beginning interrupts the threat signal your brain is sending. It communicates to your nervous system that the danger is not real. And once the alarm quiets, you can actually work. Think about this differently. You are not trying to become someone who never feels resistance. You are becoming someone who starts anyway. That is the only difference between the person you are and the person you want to be. Not talent, not discipline, not perfect conditions. Just the willingness to begin in the presence of discomfort, rather than waiting for the discomfort to pass. Does this shift something for you? I genuinely want to know what you are thinking right now. Drop it in the comments. Chapter 5. What you owe yourself here is the final thing, the one that sits underneath everything else. You have been treating your future self like a stranger, someone who will handle the things you are avoiding today, someone with more energy, more time, more courage than you currently have. But your future self is not a stranger. Your future self is you. The same fears, the same doubts, the same brain running the same patterns. Except now the deadline is closer, and the anxiety is louder, and the window is smaller. The kindest thing you can do for the person you will be tomorrow is to begin today. Not perfectly, not completely. Just begin. One sentence, one email, one step into the uncomfortable thing. Not because it will feel good, but because the version of you that starts is fundamentally different from the version of you that waits. Starting changes your brain. It builds evidence that you are someone who does the thing. An identity built on evidence is the most powerful identity there is. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher who ruled one of the greatest empires in history while writing privately about his own struggles with discipline and self-doubt, wrote in his journal words that were never meant to be published. He wrote them for himself. He said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good person should be. Be one. Not tomorrow, not when things are better. Now." That is what this comes down to. Not a system, not a schedule, a decision, made quietly, in this moment, to stop protecting yourself from the life you actually want. The hidden reason you keep procrastinating is not that you are broken. It is that you are human. Your brain is doing its job, protecting you from discomfort, preserving a version of yourself that feels safe. But the life you want is on the other side of that protection. And the only way there is through, not around, through. So I want to ask you one final question. What is the one thing you have been putting off that you already know you need to do? Write it in the comments. Not for me, for you. Because naming it out loud is already the beginning. If this video reached something real in you today, please like it. It helps more than you know. Subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications, because this is exactly the kind of conversation we have here every single time. And I will see you in the next one.